How is it going, everyone? The PlayStation Store is currently running its games under $20 sale. A lot of great deals across the entirety of the sale. Want to look at games under the price of $10. You guys know how this thing works. As always, links to everything in the description box below. But let's get right into it as there's a lot of quality stuff. First off, let's start with Dishonored Definitive Edition. 70% off for $5.99. I am a big fan of Dishonored. I originally picked this game up when it came out all the way back in like December of 2012. I spent $60 on it, and it was absolutely worth that $60. Even though it's a little bit of a shorter experience, especially if you're like just rushing through it. It is a game that's replayable, and it does have a variety of ways you can tackle the game. You can go the chaotic route, or you can take the more silent and stealthy approach, which, generally speaking, I feel like more people did enjoy that aspect of the game, you know, at least finding it a little bit more rewarding. Compelling narrative, great art style that has aged really, really well. Like, at this point, you're not going to go into it seeing a super technically impressive game, but it's an art style that holds up pretty darn well, and for $6, I think it's pretty good. Get the DLC as well. Definitely a worthwhile pickup there. Next up, we got Gravity Rush 2, 50% off for $9.99. Look, this game is available in PlayStation Plus Extra. Even if you have Plus Extra, this is a game that just should be in your library. It is that good. It's unfortunate that this game never really got the buzz, the attention, and the appeal on a larger scale to justify this series being around in the long term. Gravity Rush 1 was done on the PlayStation Vita, and it was a great game on there, but Gravity Rush 2 just built upon it and made a really smooth transition, just utilizing the regular controller. And they even ported Gravity Rush 1 to PlayStation 4, and that game is great as well, but Gravity Rush 2 really builds upon it, has a lot of content, and it's a lengthy game. Great art style as well on this one, just this really, really well-done look that pops and has so much vibrance to it. $9.99 is a great price, and again, you're getting a content-filled experience here, so I strongly, strongly recommend this game. Maybe one day, Gravity Rush will build up that kind of, you know, cult following that does lead to a Gravity Rush 3. That would be great. That's probably not going to happen in any time in the near future, but who knows? I'll keep recommending this game until I'm blue in the face whenever it goes on sale, and this price point's too good to pass up. And there is a demo available as well if you do want to check that out. Next up, we got Borderlands, the Handsome Collection, 75% off for $9.99. Yes, it's available on PlayStation Plus, but PlayStation Plus Premium, which is a route that not a lot of people are going with unless you like signed up way early and you stacked a bunch of years. I digress. Handsome Collection is great. You got Borderlands 2, Borderlands the pre-sequel, the game's respective additional content outside of one piece of DLC for Borderlands 2, that is Commander Lilith and the Fight for Sanctuary. Not a big deal that you're missing that. Borderlands 2 is tremendous. It is by far my favorite Borderlands game, and I don't know if it's a part of me just getting older or if it's the fact that Borderlands 2 just did a good job with its comedy, but I don't feel like in Borderlands 3, especially in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, like, the comedy hit as much as it did with Borderlands 2. And why do I bring that up? Well, that's because the comedic elements of Borderlands is a big part of the game, and I just feel like Borderlands has kind of lost that luster. Don't get it twisted. Borderlands 2, on top of that, has a great gameplay loop, and if you want to play the game solo, if you want to play it with friends, either way, you're going to have a really good time with it, and pre-sequel is solid as well. Not as good as Borderlands 2 in my opinion, but both games are so good, given, again, the content you're getting for the price you're paying. Ridiculously good buy here. $9.99 is excellent. Next up, we got Valkyria Chronicles Remastered, 70% off, excuse me, $5.99. Another game I constantly go to bat for. It seems like even with 4 entries happening at this point, Valkyria Chronicles hasn't really clicked over here stateside, and it's not one of the biggest JRPG franchises, which is a little bit of a bummer, but I think if anybody jumps into this game, if you're a fan of tactics-based titles, this is one that you're really gonna enjoy. I know Valkyria Chronicles, there's times where, especially with the VC1, like, it gets stupid, like, frustrating from a challenge standpoint, but, like, I feel like most people are gonna be able to figure it out, and the strengths of this game definitely outweigh any negatives that you can find. Fantastic art style in this one as well, this watercolor look that has just aged gracefully, came out all the way back in 08, but even playing it 15 years later, looks really good. Good cast of characters. Is it a blow-away, compelling story? Probably not, but it's an engaging story that builds a lot of quality character relationships, so I think $5.99 is a great price for this. Definitely would recommend it, and then if you do want to check out Valkyria Chronicles 4, I recommend that as well. I implore Sega to eventually draw Valkyria Chronicles 3 over here stateside, because in my humble opinion, I think that's the best Valkyria Chronicles game, but unfortunately, that only saw a PSP release and only only saw a release in Japan. So a little bit of a bummer there, but nonetheless, $6 for VC1 if you're looking to get into the series. Solid pickup all around. Next up, another game I constantly recommend, Rise of the Tomb Raider 20-year celebration, 80% off for $6. The best of the Tomb Raider trilogy, and honestly, probably the best Tomb Raider game of all time. You know, I'm not big on the Tomb Raider games pre-Tomb Raider 2013, like I've played them, but I thought Tomb Raider 2013 took the franchise to a completely different stratosphere. ROTR is great, and it's a game that really improved upon Tomb Raider 2013 from a gameplay standpoint, and the narrative is still pretty strong, all things considered, and a good bit of content here as well. 20-year celebration gives you some additional bonus content. You even have a PSVR gimmick in there as well. Just a great buy for $6. No-brainer there, definitely worth a pickup. Next up, want to give a shout to Rogue Galaxy, 50% off for $7.49. Now, this is a throwback JRPG from the PS2 era, so know what you're getting yourself into. Absolutely isn't the JRPG you pick up to get into the genre, but it is a really good JRPG from the PS2 era. Has a really great watercolor art style in this one as well. It is super lengthy, a little bit, you know, it got to the point of it getting a little bit too much. I think it would have served better if it was streamlined a little bit more, but it was a great game back in the PS2 era, pretty solid on the PS4 as well if you're a JRPG fan that's looking to play all the JRPGs. Rogue Galaxy is one, also done by Level 5. Level 5, a studio that, you know, is kind of revered, not like, they're not super well known, but they've done some great stuff. Yeah, Rogue Galaxy was one of their games that kind of gets forgotten about, but I think is a good buy there. Next up, we have Axiom Verge, 60% off for $7.99. A lot of you guys probably just got Axiom Verge 2 through PlayStation Plus, so why not circle back and get the first game, which the majority of people would say is the stronger game. This was a game done by one person, and yes, when you look at it, you're just like, it's another Metroidvania. So well done, Metroidvania. That is very much a nostalgia throwback to a lot of people. Like, if you're a fan of those classic SNES style games, you're gonna be super into Axiom Verge. I think $8 is a good price, and even though this game came out all the way back in 2015, it still holds up in price, so it's not like you're gonna find it for $5 or $3 or anything like that, so the $8 price tag is actually pretty decent. Next up, The Evil Within 2, 80% off for $7.99, a studio that is kind of in the news cycle right now, done by Tango Gameworks, and man, if you're a PlayStation fan, I feel like Hi-Fi Rush is one game that PlayStation owners are super bummed out is not coming to their platform. That game looks absolutely fantastic, and I am totally gonna play it here soon, but nonetheless, Evil Within 2, obviously a stark contrast from what Hi-Fi Rush is. This is more of the style of game that Tango Gameworks has always done, a survival horror title, narrative-driven. I would recommend you to play Evil Within 1. You can just play Evil Within 2, but very compelling survival horror title. A lot of people also like the first game better, so take that for what you will. Great atmosphere, solid gameplay, and overall a fairly well done survival horror title. I think $8 is a solid buy on that. Want to give this next game a shout just because it's kind of gonna be a timely time to play it. Resident Evil 4, the classic, 2005, 60% off for $8. Look, the RE4 remake is about to come out, so I would recommend you to play this if you want to play both, and then you want to see the differences, and I think that'll be pretty cool. I think people doing another playthrough of the classic RE4 is something that a lot of people are going to end up doing just because RE4 is a game that a ton of people are super nostalgic with. For them, for me as well, Resident Evil 4 was the game that really got me into Resident Evil, so it's a game that I would love to go back and play through sometime before the remake drops in March. And RE4 is a classic. Yes, it's gonna show its age, wonky camera and things like that, but I still feel like it's a relatively accessible game where you can jump into it in the year 2023. You can have a good time with it. The remake has all the potential in the world to completely revolutionize this experience, which RE4 I don't think is a stretch to say that a lot of people saw it as a revolutionary game experience at the time, but yeah, it's not that anymore, but it's still a quality game to go through. $8 I think is a great buy, so I'd give that a shout. Next up, Detroit Become Human, 50% off for $9.99. Quantic Dream game, obviously super narrative driven, and a lot of decision making in the game as well. Always, I'll reiterate this fact when I talk about Quantic Dream games and decision-based games in general, I highly recommend people to go through the game once blind. I get it that people are going to want to get the best ending possible, but I feel like going through games like this just with a guide right off the bat isn't the move. See what happens in your own playthrough and then go back and play through it again. And it's a game that you're gonna enjoy. It has a super compelling narrative. Love the setting, love the timeline of the game as well, and the whole gimmick with androids and whatnot. I just thought that worked really, really well. And with games like this, it's a narrative-driven game, and yes, it's a video game, but it's a game that you can invite people over, and you can all sit down and play through it together in the sense that they'll have a good time with watching the story unfold. That's not really the case with a lot of super gameplay-heavy games. It's actually kind of nice that I believe it's Supermassive has been kind of integrating like a multiplayer aspect into these style of games, which credit to them. Detroit does not have that, but, you know, nonetheless, it's a great game. For $9.99, I think it's a good buy. It is available through Plus Extra. Also available on Plus Extra, but I want to give this a shout. Fallout 4. I've made my opinion abundantly clear about Fallout 4, and most of you guys probably have played it on some platform at some point. Was incredibly hyped back in 2015, and I think most people would say it was a bit of a disappointment given the hype was so high, but this is a game that's getting a PlayStation 5 upgrade. Look, we just had the Witcher 3 thing happen where that game got its PS5 upgrade, and then the price got jacked up, and the complete edition on sale was like $30. I don't know if that's gonna happen with Fallout 4. Hopefully it doesn't, but $7.99 for the base game, not a horrible buy. Game of the Year edition right now isn't on sale, but when it is the next time, you might want to go that route to pick that up if it does get that kind of price hike that Witcher got. But yeah, wanted to give that a mention as well. Next up, talked about Resident Evil 4. That's getting a remake. Well, the Resident Evil remake that kind of started it all, Resident Evil 2, in terms of really getting these remakes popular. 75% off for $9.99. Stupid good deal. Resident Evil 2 is kind of a standard bearer on how good remakes should be done. Modernizing a game that, you know, go back and play RE2. That game is not going to be something you get super into. At least in my opinion. If you have the nostalgia attached to it, maybe that's a little bit of a controversial statement nonetheless. And hey, maybe it's a little bit hypocritical for me to say RE4, you can go back into it and play it, but RE4 was a PS2 game, so a little bit different there. But Resident Evil 2, this remake is outstanding. Incredible atmosphere, and if you go back and play RE2, how they took that game and then modernized it to the 2019 audience with this game, they just did a really good job with it. They didn't, you know, follow it up with as good of a remake with RE3. RE3's okay, but RE2 was just tremendously done, and strong recommendation there. Next up, we have Dying Light, the Definitive Edition. That is 80% off for $9.99. Look, Dying Light 1 is just a fantastic game, and Techland needs to be given a lot of credit for how much they supported this game, and for how long. Like, they literally supported this game for like 6.5 years or something like that. Like, that's absurd for a single-player game like this, a single-player driven game like this. It's great. It runs better on PS5, which, like, you know, games from January of 2015 getting PS5 enhancements, you know, some games have, but, like, more credit to Techland for doing that. Incredible parkour gameplay. That's really well done. A little bit more of a contained open world, but still pretty solid. A sizable amount of content, and the Definitive Edition gets you a lot of bonus stuff, so yeah, definitely go check that out. That's 80% off, just a great buy. Next up, I will give a shout to God of War III Remastered, 50% off for $9.99. Available through Plus Premium, but again, it's Plus Premium. I am vocal about the fact, and a lot of you guys disagree with me on this, that God of War really didn't do it for me until God of War 2018. These titles, like God of War 1, 2, 3, Chains of Olympus, Ghosts of Sparta, Ascension, those games I enjoyed, but, like, I think God of War 2018 is, like, started that next level for God of War. I didn't feel that way with God of War 3 Remastered, but look, that's my personal opinion. Put that aside. For $9.99, this is still a quality action game that people revere as one of the best games of that PlayStation 3 era. Some people may even go as far as say it's the best game of the PlayStation 3 era, and if you want to see, you know, Kratos' story in this arc, God of War 3 is obviously a necessary playthrough. It's just unfortunate they haven't ported over, like, the God of War 1 and 2 collection and the, what was it called? Was it the Origins collection? I think that's what it was, that had Chains of Olympus and Ghosts of Sparta, which were initially PSP games. Yeah, bummer that those haven't been ported to PS4, but hopefully they'll get on that sooner rather than later. But God of War 3 at $9.99, not a bad buy at all. Next up, an RPG, a lengthy one at that, Dragon Age Inquisition. Inquisition Game of the Year Edition, 78% off for $8.79. This was like really the first PS4 era RPG that I remember really enjoying, and I was like, man, this is one of the best games of that entire generation at that point. And then Witcher 3 came out like right after, and I was like, all right, so this is the best RPG. But Dragon Age Inquisition was solid. I know BioWare gets a pretty negative rap these days, but Dragon Age Inquisition had a solid story. The gameplay was pretty good, and I think visually it still holds up rather strongly. I remember experiencing quite a few bugs when it initially came out, but at this point, you're paying $8.79, you're getting the bonus content. I just think this is a really good buy, all things considered, so check that out. Lastly, I do want to give a shout out to Code Vein, which is 85% off for $9. So a lot of people will say this is anime Souls, which I can definitely see that. Code Vein doesn't have a super strong story, but it's still a fairly good one, and the gameplay is rather solid. Love the art style. If you're a fan of anime, the art style is going to be right up your alley, and if you're a fan of the Souls-like gameplay, again, something you're going to end up enjoying. And while I wouldn't say, you know, $60 worth it, at $9, I think it's a great buy, and I would recommend it at that price. But again, aesthetically speaking, if you do like that look, I think that's gonna endear you to the game a lot more. But that is gonna do it for me. Again, a ton of great deals available right now as a part of the PlayStation Games Under $20 sale. Looked at everything under $10. Go check it all out for yourself. I know, a lot of retreads. What do you guys want me to do? We'll expand our gaming repertoire over time, but a lot of games to play right now with all the new games coming out. But that'll do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.